Hello everybody, this is Russell Denton here with the ASCA League channel, and here we are for race number 7 of the Copperhead Amateur Series season at Milwaukee Mile, a new track on the circuit. Eric Monaco took home his second win of the season last week at Chicagoland, and we'll have to see if he can catch up to Mehretab Zrishil, your current points leader, again this week. However, we have to go through our part-time qualifying to see which of those drivers are going to make it into tonight's race. We start off with duel number 1, Vinny Wiese on the pole with Elijah Gordon to his outside. Now, Vinny Wiese has had some troubles getting to the end of these races with a good result, despite making 5 out of 6 starts so far. He has a best finish of 6, but then all those other finishes falling further back in the pack. We'll see if he can make today's race once again. Back here we see the number 52 of Mac Johnson, almost getting into Griffin Lynn there in the number 10. But this is a new team. This is Filipinas Bankos Motorsports. Herschel Arvin Alonso, who just got moved up to the Pennzoil Pro Series, trying to open up a team in a part-time effort to start out with, maybe running next season as well, but very limited schedule this season and starting off at this race. Julius Anderson, now he's been a guy that kind of dropped off the radar, became a free agent just a couple races into the season. Got a race last week with Push to Pass Motorsports, but back in a Mali Motorsports ride this week. Call it kind of a second audition for that driver who's trying to find a stable ride. Could be going for his first start today. Some good news for the driver of this machine, Elijah Gordon, learning that he's going to be moving over to the 02 car starting next race. The team Smart Motorsports got some extra sponsorship, and they're going to make this an opportunity for Gordon to go for the part-time championship. William Johnson running the rest of the races in the 88. Here's a name you might have forgotten, James Johnson. He's making his first career CAS attempt. He was a driver with Overdrive Motorsports as a rookie, but really didn't flash anywhere, so trying to see what he can do down here in his first attempt in the series. Gerardo Ron, he gets into the corner panel of Nicholas Watoir Irvin, and he was running pretty decently up there in the first few laps of this duel, but he fell off pace really badly and has not made a start in the series to date. And this is where big disaster happens for this duel. Nicholas Wade in a position to make the race. Won a duel last week at Chicagoland. Blows an engine. And he comes down to the bottom of the racetrack. Brings out a caution, but that's not going to impact Elijah Gordon sailing to a victory. But the real race happening for the cutoff spot. Look at this as Julius Anderson on the inside of Johnny Gardner. And Anderson's going to beat the 59 car by a car length. And that is going to get him his first career start in this ride with Mali Motorsports. So Elijah Gordon, Tanya Breyer, Vinny Wiese, Samantha Jones, and Julius Anderson all going to be in this race. Anderson's the only one of this duel who is making his first start in the series. We see Johnny Gardner missing out as well as Henry Guo. And back here are the rest of the race cars. James Johnson's back here as well as Mac Johnson. Nicholas Wade, last place after blowing that engine. On to duel number 2, Scott Roush out in front alongside Kenny Crouch. Both guys that have had some pretty solid runs, and I believe they're both running the top 15 in the part-time championship standings right now. Roush obviously won at Atlanta. He's the only driver so far in the season to be a part-timer and win one of these races. Stephen Carmona in the back running with TJ Smith Incorporated, and he's obviously showing his inexperience as he immediately runs into the wall and almost turns himself around just from hitting it. I want to bend up one of those race cars, but we do have an accident in this one as Caleb Henderson, Kenny Washington get together, and in contact with Adrian Crawford, gets the 26 car into the inside wall. Matt Dunn also collected, and it's not going to end here as, in fact, Adrian Crawford then going to get into TJ Hanley on the front stretch. That's going to send the 82 car around. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with the 91 being out of control, but not exactly what that driver wanted. Andrew Gorman, who was also dropped by Mali Motorsports earlier this season. This is his first attempt since then, riding with Vincent Motorsports. Carson Bauer is normally the driver of that race car, but after making the most starts of any part-timer last season, hasn't made one since. I'm guessing that Vincent Motorsports wanted him to take a little break, putting Gorman in the ride. Jake Basking are running pretty decent right now, and that might look surprising, but Red Stallion Racing and Red Mustang Racing partnering up, so that's giving the 34 and 35 cars a little bit better equipment, but we do see the caution lights coming out, and it looks like just some contact between Bain, Fridge, and Matt Dunn, who's in his second accident this duel. It's very minor, but they do get away cleanly, but they did bring out a caution anyway. Carter Friesen's been enjoying success since he made the move to Red Stallion Racing. He's made every start so far and getting to run the rest of these races in the 85 car. And we are going to have one more wreck here, and this is a big hit for Steven Carmona, as well as Arian Azad, Passing Lane Motorsports, trying to field the third car for this one race, and obviously already tearing it up, but also the 54 car smoking as it tries to get away from this one. Heavy damage for that underfunded team. And Scott Roush is going to be able to just coast to the finish line on the ensuing restart. No real races going on there. So the results from this one: Scott Roush, Kenny Kraft, Megan Johnson, Carter Friesen, and Cole Deaver able to make the race this time. Deaver making his second start of the season after qualifying for Daytona. Jake Baskinger in 10th place, Gorman in 7th place in his first start since leaving Valley. And we see the rest of the guys down here: Azad, Carmona, and Henderson, all of the drivers that are knocked out by accidents. And now it's time to move on to the main event. 60 laps around this mile-long track, the first time we've been up here to Milwaukee. And Samantha Jones is going to be the one that leads them to the green flag, and steal away 5 points from Mehretab Zrishil, who would really like to extend her points lead, but not going to happen this time. Back here in rows 5 through 8, we'll see John Arndt trying to get a decent finish. Our week 4 winner, Sebastian Torres. In rows 9 through 12, Alexander Rowe still looking to get out of last place, as well as some Rage Attack racing machines. Back here in these final 6 rows, Julius Anderson lining up 26th in his first start. Elijah Gordon all the way back in 28th. Not a great start for the Smart Motorsports machine. But we are going to see the green flag drop right here, and Samantha Jones going to lead them down. The 43 car going to pull off at turn number 4, leading the first lap. Robert Harrison pulls in the second, Colin Denton in the third, and here comes Eric Monaco trying to see if he can steal away 4th from Mehretab Zrishil. He's your first two-time winner in 2017 after getting the win at Daytona and then again at Chicagoland. If you're looking for a fun fact, actually, Monaco and Jones finishing 1-2 in both of those races, and Monaco obviously came out on top on both of them. Maybe it's going to be Jones's time to get some redemption, see if she can get a win here in Milwaukee. Looking on board Scott Roush, and obviously in some major traffic. They do seem like going 3 wide at this racetrack. And obviously the inside line is the preferred line, as a little bit of contact right there between Richardson and Roush, as well as the driver underneath him. That's Dylan Membrilla. But these drivers definitely aren't afraid to get aggressive, considering there's a very limited amount of teams up at the front of the point standings that realistically look like they have a chance at winning this championship now. Oh, there's smoke on the bottom of the racetrack. Caution comes out. There were at least 2 cars there. I saw Megan Johnson. I'm not sure who the other car was. That was very dangerous. It could have come back onto the racing groove where everyone was running pretty fast. And that's Zrishil. She's going to get contact from Megan Johnson, and a hard hit to the inside wall as well. Johnson gets spun around. But that is your points leader in the number 81 Blue Flare Motorsports Toyota. And that's going to have some big points implications in this middle part of the season. On board John Harden, he's really glad that he didn't get caught up in that one as he swoops right by. And we'll get back to green flag, but you do see Zrishil down a lap and obviously not up to power, trying to see if she can even contend anymore. But it doesn't look good as she immediately fades back. The top 3 get around her, and it just continues to be wherever she's not. The other lane is going to take advantage, and you can see that now Kenny Kraft is getting held up. Chris Dodd trying to run the outside line, really not working so. And actually, it looks like Zrishil's still doing all right in the turns, but these straightaways definitely doesn't have the speed. Now Julius Caesar coming up behind her, trying to see if he can get around. And right next to Chris Dodd, we know that he had an incident at Lucas Oil where he lost that race. And obviously a big pack forming back here. I guess that's kind of a result of the conditions that Zrishil's putting them in. We do have a caution now on the racetrack. It must be happening in the back of the field because nothing happening up here where this main pack is. We take a look, and it's going to be Cole Deaver hitting the wall, and Megan Johnson also getting some contact. That's her second accident of the night in these first 2 caution flags. That's a pretty minor accident, but it will bring out a caution for a little bit of debris on the racetrack, and that will give drivers an opportunity to come down and try to take a pit stop. And it will be the entire field. Zrishil stays out because she has to while she is a lap down. We'll get back to green flag on lap number 16. Robert Harrison here, getting to the outside the 81 car, and really has not had great luck in terms of point standings. The reason why he's not running any higher than 6th, he has 4 top 10s, but also 2 finishes of 25th or worse, that other one being 27th at Daytona, and that's definitely not going to get you anywhere if you're trying to get up in points, and he would really like to see if he can maintain some consistency in terms of being up top, not having those awful days like he did at Daytona and Bristol. On board with Dylan Membrell, let's give some early praise to Alexander Rowe up here in the top 10 right now, and obviously that team's been struggling as Rowe runs in the back of the point standings. Nia Deverett and John Gilbert struggling to qualify for races in the Pendulum Pro Series. And we have another caution flag as we're talking about this, but yeah, definitely going well for Alexander Rowe right now, and we'll take a look at what happens, and it looks like there's a squeeze right there. I think that was... So Friesen goes around and gets hit by Jake Rogers and Megan Johnson in her 3rd accident. She is not catching a break, and I believe Julia Sanderson and Benny Weiss were the other cars involved in the squeeze. And we're going to see some pit strategy here. Samantha Jones, Robert Harrison, John Arndt, Kenny Kraft, and also Scott Roush, you won't see there, all coming down, and that will hand over the lead to Colin Denton. We'll see if that has to do with fuel, maybe tires. Could be a good strategy if the tire wear is strong on this race course. Maybe they'll be able to use these laps to catch back up with the leaders. But Colin Denton gets himself in the lead, and he's been pretty much a consistent mid-pack runner. He's been higher toward this 7th place run than he has toward the 20th place run he got at Daytona, but now see if he can contend for the win, and it looks like there's contact. That was between teammates. James Richardson gets into Isaac Nichols. Richardson goes around on the front of Barraza. All of them save it. We're staying green flag. Scary situation there in what's already been a caution-infested race. And now we're looking up here, Tanya Breyer. She's been in contention for this part-timers championship. She only has qualified for 2 races, but she has top 10s in both of them. And she's currently running 7th in those points, and that's a bit of a deceiving standing because it is 1 point behind 3 drivers that are tied at 55 points back. So as long as she has a good finish, she can definitely get up there higher. And Kenny Kraft trying to back up an amazing debut in 4th place, but he's going to get turned around by Samantha Jones right there on the backstretch. And that will bring out a caution. It wasn't terrible contact, but just as we were talking about him, Kenny Kraft, he did a really good job at Salem with his 4th place run. But it looks like Samantha Jones on that pit strategy is going to come to his inside and turn him into that inside wall, and Jones is going to drop back a few spots in the process. And now we see Monaco is going to try to take that same strategy, but he's going to be the only one on this cycle. So that's going to put the 99 car back at the rear of the field. We're going to restart on lap number 31, and that is going to interfere with our mid-race report, so we'll go ahead and show it now as Colin Denton leads the way with Patrick Curtis here in 2nd, and Alexander Rowe somehow made his way up to 3rd, and he continues to rise despite the struggling Tanker Motorsports year. Well, but look at this. Actually, Patrick Curtis is going to make a move to the inside of Colin Denton, and we could have a pass for the lead here at the front. And he's going to get the position if he can clear him right here, and he can. Curtis hasn't seen victory lane in his career. His best finish came 2nd place at Palm Beach last season. Runner up to Cody Smart, who was really about 20 or so seconds ahead of him. Wasn't even a close finish, but still, a 2nd place run for Curtis is the best that he's been able to do in his career. Now we could be looking to contend for his first win, and also the first win for Rage Attack Racing. in this division. Looking on board Castle Radcliffe as he goes to the inside of the 41 car. Jeffrey Finguy, really understated performance that he's been putting up. He has 5 straight top 10s in this series. He's fading back a little bit. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep up that mark, but he's been a really consistent driver so far, and trying to see if he can keep up with Nathan Lukac, the race 3 winner. And we see Julius Anderson back here, first career start running for Malley Motorsports. As mentioned before, it's kind of a second audition for him because he got dropped earlier in the season. But what seemed like a decent start to the race, despite the bad qualifying, he's already back to the rear of the field again. So might not be going so well for the 23 car, but at least he was able to qualify for once. We're looking at Benny Beeson. Mentioned the struggles that he's been having. Only been able to contend for a top 10 once. And trying to see if he can get to the inside of Elijah Gordon, who's obviously been a good driver so far in this season. And now the 27 car goes into the inside wall, back up into traffic. Oh, I think that was Eric Monaco. Cole Deaver gets collected. Oh, and a big hit by Carter Friesen. And the 27 car goes airborne. And he's going to land on his roof. And a big disaster for these Copperhead Amateur Series drivers as the caution flag comes out. Take another look at what happened here. Isaac Nichols got a really good run on that inside. Pretty much made it 3 wide as Gordon and Weiss ran next to each other. There was Monaco with the hard damage, and that big hit from Friesen to Weiss sends the 27 over. Lands on his roof, and Nichols also getting that damage. We'll watch Monaco now and see. It was really just a clip, but it was a clip that got him smoking, and this could end his day. Oh, and Scott Roush is also down in the apron. I didn't see the contact he might have gotten, but could that 37 car have problems as well? That'd be a bad record for Red Stallion Racing, because the 85 car definitely, oof, big hit, and that's fatal to the race car. That whole hood crunched in, and that, I believe that's going to be the first time we've seen drivers actually DNF in the Copperhead Amateur Series so far this season. And we do see that Scott Roush has dropped a lap, so definitely a problem on the race car that necessitated some extensive repair work. Falling behind the 81 car, who's already slow, and that's definitely not going to help the line that's created behind him, including Torres, Caesar, drivers that would really like to get up front. We're looking at Chris Dodd now, and he's pretty much come back down to earth after his runner-up spot at Salem. Oof, they're getting really testy back here on the backstretch, but a last-place finish at Lucas Oil that included some questionable blocking on Caesar, and 17th place run at Chicagoland. Now back in this huge pack and really struggling to gain positions, even though Zrishel's not really helping with that. Vincent Motorsports really looking for some consistency, and probably going better for Dylan Mambrella than it is for Dodd. Now, Patrick Curtis back up here at the front continues to maintain the lead, and as he watches back on Colin Denton, he's got to love what he's watching, because Denton's obviously going to be trying to get whatever line he can to see if he can make a move on Curtis, but as he does that, that tire wear has got to be wearing out on Denton, and really going to struggle to catch him as long as he's using that. Oh, we do have a caution flag out on the racetrack. Once again, this race has really been marred by several accidents. And we'll have to see what this one is. I see Robert Harrison there, and he's going to get contact from John Arden. A heavy hit to the inside wall. And we mentioned that Harrison has to have a decent run to try to gain in the point standings. And that is absolutely not what he needed, as it looks like that was more on Arndt than anything, because Harrison wasn't necessarily next to anyone else as he exited turn 2. So another accident, taking another victim at this racetrack, as Robert Harrison will drop out of the race. We're 11 laps from the checkers. And it's still a 2-car battle between Curtis and Denton. Samantha Jones is the other driver that's led laps so far this season, or rather this race, sorry. And she's actually crawling up pretty well after making that pit strategy call about 30 laps ago. really sneaking up and trying to see if she can actually contend for something better back here. Oh, and more contact, and this one is going to include John Arndt as he gets into the outside wall. And I believe Nathan Lukac was the other driver involved in that one. This is going to be a terrible day for J Bark Motorsports as that one car gets involved. And yeah, just some contact that didn't really clear, and Elijah Gordon also going to get caught up in this one. Now we'll watch on board of his rear cam and really know where he had to go because the 25 car came back down the racetrack where the 88 was running. There was hardly any reaction time you could put to avoiding that one. But another caution makes it an even shorter race as we get back to green with 5 laps to go. And this time they're not going to be double file, which means there's a 3-car breakaway at the front of the field with Curtis, Denton, and Membrola. Now we're looking at Giovanni Barrazzi, who's actually running in 4th position behind those 3. And honestly, 8th place in the standings, 75 points back. But a family-owned operation, it's really been a matter of Barrazzi outrunning what his equipment's really worth. Doing a great job with that, and a 4th place finish could really do wonders for that race team in the standings. But it doesn't seem like he's going to be able to catch these 3 guys right here. Patrick Curtis leading Colin Denton and Dylan Membrola. But they're really having a hard time catching up to the 22 car as he takes the white flag. Really a one-groove racetrack, although you can really find just those tiny bits and pieces that can help you gain some time, but that's really not what the 21 and the 48 are able to do. Is the 92 car actually getting closer to the 40. Could see if he can make a pass, but it looks like the 22 car is going to be able to hang on to this one as he comes through 3 and 4. And for the first time in his career and for Rage Attack Racing, Patrick Curtis is going to take home the win here at Milwaukee Mile. A much-needed run for the veteran driver Patrick Curtis. He's the winner of today's Milwaukee 250. And that's the first victory that Rage Attack Racing is going to be able to take home. And obviously necessitates a load of burnouts for the 22 car. Take a look at the final standings for today's race. Colin Denton going to come home in 2nd place. A great run also by Dylan Membrilla in 3rd. Samantha Jones, after that pit strategy call, gets all the way up to 5th place. James Richardson, he had a little bit of an incident today, and he comes back and finishes 6th. Alexander Rofe, his first career top 10, finishing 9th in the race. A little bit further back, Julius Anderson, 17th in his debut. Megan Johnson, involved in several accidents today, gets a 19th place run to show for it. And your points leader, Mehretab Zrishil, in 22nd place. Going to see how that impacts the point standings, as well as Eric Monaco back in 25th. And as we look at them, the 81 car is still leading, but the gap has been closed. Nathan Lukac now 17 points behind Zrishil, with Monaco 19 points behind. Patrick Curtis bumps into the top 14, but obviously still way far back there in terms of contending for a championship. And looking further back, Samantha Jones is going to continue to maintain the lead of the part-time point standings. Scott Roush, Tanya Breyer, Elijah Gordon, Megan Johnson, all top 5 of the drivers in the standings right now, all in this race. But they're going to have to catch that number 43. That's going to do it for us. We will see you next week at Wisconsin.